The Black Gate may just be the most secret location that we have seen yet in the A Song of Ice and Fire books, and today I want to just kind of go through everyone who might know about the Black Gate and show us why the story kind of implies that they don't know about it. The only people who know about it may just be the ones we've already seen in the story. Bloodraven, Cold Hand, Sam and Gilly, Bran, Mira, Jojen, and Hodor, and then whoever Sam has told, we know he's told Stannis, so you can assume that part of Stannis' camp would know about it. So now that we have our confirmed list of people who know about it, let's go through everybody else and just see if it's plausible to add anyone else to that list. Let's first talk about the Night's Watch, because at one point they manned the castle of the Nightfort and they are in charge of manning the wall. If anyone would be knowing about a secret gate on the wall that opens with the Night's Watch oath, they are probably the most likely. So I'd say the argument that the Night's Watch don't know about the Black Gate is a pretty simple one. No one of our point of views in the Night's Watch ever think about the Black Gate or are ever told about it. If the Night's Watch knew about the existence of another way through the wall, you would think they would have either done something about it or they would actively tell their Rangers and their Night's Watch members about it so that they could use it if they are ever stuck north of the wall. The fact that they don't use it and the fact that they haven't filled it in with stone like all of the other gates makes me think that the Night's Watch just don't know about it. And it really does kind of make sense that it would be something they've forgotten about. The Night's Fort hasn't been used in quite a while, and honestly, I don't know if everyone at the Night Fort knew about the Black Gate before it was closed down anyway. It could have just been like a secret thing that only a few people knew about, or perhaps even more likely, it goes all the way back to the time of the Night King. And perhaps if the Night King was the one who installed it and the one who was using it, the knowledge of how to use it or that it was even there was lost after his defeat. You would think it'd be a little strange for the Night's Watch to be living in the Night Fort for as long as they were before they abandoned it and not knowing that the Black Gate was there. But perhaps at some point in the ancient past, or maybe even after the defeat of the Night King when they were wiping everything about him from the history books, maybe they like walled over the inside of that well with a bunch of bricks, and someone later on had to find the Black Gate and break it out. It could have even been someone like Bloodraven himself at some point when he was in the Night's Watch or at some point after he disappeared. Just based on the fact that the Night's Watch at large don't seem to know about the Black Gate at all, the idea of it being recently uncovered does kinda make sense to me. I also really do just like the imagery of Bloodraven carrying like a pickaxe through the Night Fort like he's looting a Minecraft dungeon and he's just sneaking his way through, finding the well, crawling down the staircase around the inside of the well, and then breaking through the wall with his pick, and then uncovering this giant weirwood face that he can walk through. I don't know if that happened, but it would be pretty cool. So there's your first little mini theory of the video that at some point in the past, Bloodraven was playing Minecraft at the Night Fort so that he could find a secret gate through the wall that only he knew about. It does kind of actually make a bit of sense. And if it wasn't him, maybe it was someone else at some point in recent history. After all, if the Night's Watch had known about the Black Gate, as I said, they would have probably closed it off completely after they got out of the Night Fort. Heck, maybe they did close it off completely when they left the Night Fort and they think that it's closed in with stone like all of the other gates along the wall, and as I said, someone could have come along at some point with a pickaxe and uncovered it. The main point being that you can see many plausible roads to the Night's Watch completely forgetting about the Black Gate. So the fact that they don't appear to know about it kind of makes me want to believe that they just don't know about it. So if the Night's Watch don't know about the Black Gate, what about north of the wall? The wildlings remember a lot, and maybe they remember the Black Gate. Well, the thing that made me realize that the wildlings don't know about it is actually when I was asked in the comments at one point, which will be on your screen now, why does Mance care about the Horn of Joramun at all? Couldn't he just use the Black Gate and let everyone go through that way? And when you think about it, this does make some sense. If anyone in the wildlings that Mance had gathered knew about the Black Gate, they could use it rather than having to scale the entire wall with the scouting party, or potentially rather than having to fight at Castle Black. Mance has gathered all of the wildling clans, he has access to their leaders and their wise men, and he needs a way through the wall in this life or death situation for their entire race of people. And none of them bring up the Black Gate. So I think it's pretty safe to say that none of the wildlings know about the Black Gate. Which is pretty crazy because the wildlings actually know about a lot of things. A few things from over the course of the books that really stick out as some sort of knowledge that the wildlings have that south of the wall has been forgotten include things like the fact that the wildlings are the ones who would originally burn their dead. There's a line where Jeor Mormont says that he wished he had asked them why they did that when there were still a few around to ask. John thinks about the fact that they had been attacked by walking corpses a little while earlier and thinks that he knows why they burned the dead. But this line would hint that south of the wall they had forgotten that this is the reason, and this goes right along with the fact that even the Starks have forgotten a lot of things that used to be very important. You can see just how much knowledge about things like the White Walkers seems to have been lost from the time of Cregan Stark, who we just saw in Season 2 of House of the Dragon, and Ned Stark, whose head we're in the first book. But beyond just burning their dead, the wildlings also know about the Isle of Faces. That's right, that island in the lake outside of Harrenhal that we've seen in Season 2 of House of the Dragon. Yeah, that's such an important place to the old god's religion that it's still remembered north of the wall. One of the wildlings that John climbs the wall with talks about how when he gets to the south, he wants to go visit the Green Men on the Isle of Faces. Which means that the wildlings still remember the Isle of Faces and still remember that the Green Men live there and that it's an important place, even though they've been cut off from the Isle of Faces by a giant wall of ice for thousands of years at this point. Even just the Horn of Joramun story is something that seems to be remembered by the wildlings and forgotten by the Night's Watch. I mean, if there is in fact a horn that can be blown that brings down your giant wall that you're in charge of manning, you should probably remember that, but somehow the Night's Watch have forgotten. This of course assumes that the Horn of Joramun works and that the legend is true, but I have a video already on my channel explaining why I think that is the case that the horn would work, so I won't go into all of that here. You can just check that out after this if you're interested. The point of all of this being, though, that the wildlings remember old gods' things that have been forgotten south of the wall, they remember important locations like the Isle of Faces, and they remember ancient legends like the Horn of Joramun. Yet they seem to have forgotten about the Black Gate. There's even the conversation between Ygritte and Jon when they're on top of the wall, having just climbed it, after they almost fell off. Ygritte sort of implies that the wall is a thinking, conscious, living thing, when she says that it was trying to shake her off and that she could feel it. Jon tells her that it's made of ice. And Ygritte says, "You know nothing, Jon Snow. That wall is made of blood." If some of the things that I've speculated about the wall in the past on this channel end up being true, then this line in hindsight is going to be a very strong implication that the wildlings might even have a more in-depth knowledge of what the wall actually is and what sort of blood magic is going on there than even the Night's Watch themselves have at this point. So in the Venn diagram of like overlapping topics that the wildlings would need to know about the Black Gate, they have it all. They know about the old gods, they know about ancient history, ancient locations, important magical locations, and they know about the details of the wall, but they don't know about the Black Gate. So, if the people north of the wall don't know about the Black Gate, and the people manning the wall don't know about the Black Gate, what chance does anyone south of the wall have of knowing about it? Well, if there was anyone who was going to know about something creepy, old godsy, and north of the wall that is living south of the wall, I think we all know who that would be. I'm talking, of course, about Old Nan. Our search south of the wall really begins and ends with her. She is the source of basically everything we know about the Nightfort. She's been telling the Stark kids stories about everything at the Nightfort from the Rat Cook's kitchen to the 79 Sentinels, and she's never once brought up the giant creepy weirwood face that can talk. That's definitely something that old Nan would have brought up if it was something that she knew about. The fact that this gate never came up in any of old Nan's stories, I think, is a pretty open and shut case to say that she didn't know about it, and if old Nan doesn't know about it, I think it's a pretty safe bet to say that no one south of the wall has any stories or knowledge about the Black Gate. It seems very likely that the knowledge of this magical gate was lost to time, potentially with the abandonment of the Nightfort or with the defeat of the Night King. Its existence has only been recently uncovered, potentially literally recently uncovered if it was sealed with stone, and just in terms of knowledge of the thing, it is held now amongst a very small select group of characters which we talked about at the beginning. This definitely makes the Black Gate stand out as not only one of the most magical locations that we've seen in Westeros, but also one of the most secretive. It also is definitely a bit of a hurdle to jump over for any theory that would involve some character using the Black Gate. So, with questions like the one that I got there in the comments, or any other question asking, could someone have used the Black Gate some other time? I think it's very unlikely that anyone else knows about it. If the person who is potentially using the Black Gate in the theory is someone who can be connected to Bloodraven or Cold Hands, then I think there's potential that they could have known about it. Otherwise, I'd say it's very unlikely. Once you sit back and think about how secret the Black Gate seems to be, there's only one other time that I think it may have had a use in the story. There's always been a big mystery around how did that mama direwolf get south of the wall? There's a giant wall of ice, how can a direwolf get past that? And there's also the mystery of how did the crazed Night's Watch ranger who had seen the others and was talking nonsense before Ned beheaded him, how did he get south of the wall? You would think that the only ways through the wall are through the manned Night's Watch castles, and so either the direwolf or the deserter would have been stopped. I could see a situation where Cold Hands rescued the Night's Watch member who had survived the attack from the others in the prologue, because of course Cold Hands had rescued Sam, who was a Night's Watch member who had survived an attack from the others. It's just sort of his thing. So if he was rescued by Cold Hands, he could have potentially been taken to the Black Gate where he could have said the words and had it open, and potentially he and the dire wolf, potentially warged by Bloodraven or Cold Hands, was able to pass through the wall at this point. And then both of them used the Black Gate, go up through the Nightfort, and that would explain why they both arrived near Winterfell at the same time. The deserter was captured, and the dire wolf was of course stabbed by the stag. All of that just makes a lot of sense to me. If you assume that the Starks finding the direwolf pups was well set up by either Bloodraven or the old gods, whoever you want to say is in charge of setting that up, having someone go through the Black Gate and take the direwolf with them, that once they're found near Winterfell is going to lead to a beheading, it's all just setting up perfectly if you send them through at the same time and they're around Winterfell at the same time. And it also just makes complete sense that Cold Hands would be out there to rescue the ranger from the prologue and bring him to the Black Gate, just like he was when he rescued Sam. It's the exact same thing, so it would make complete sense. So there's your second little mini side theory of the day. That's how the direwolf and the deserter got through the wall. The deserter was rescued by Cold Hands just like Sam was, and the direwolf went with him. It gets you over the hurdle of how could he have known about the Black Gate, how could he have gotten south of the wall, how could the direwolf have gotten south of the wall, all without anyone else ever finding out about the Black Gate, because Ned Stark chops his head off. Another reason that maybe doing that wasn't the greatest idea, and maybe they should have tried to figure out what that guy had seen if they could have done so at all. We aren't told exactly what he said when he was questioned by Ned Stark, but it would be very funny if he was saying something like, "Yeah, we were out there, we were attacked by cold shadows, and then I was saved by a dead guy riding a giant elk, and then I went through a giant weirwood face, and then all of a sudden I was south of the wall, and then I was going south, and all of a sudden now I'm here. Please don't chop my head off." And Ned Stark's just like, "Oh yeah, this guy's crazy. Alright, bring me ice, let's go." I don't know if that's how that played out, but however it played out, they did chop the head off of the guy who could have had the knowledge to warn them about the others a long time ago. So, no matter how it went, it wasn't a great idea. But let me know what you think of all of this down in the comments. Do you think that the deserter could have been taken to the Black Gate by Cold Hands? Do you think that Bloodraven could have been the one to actually uncover the Black Gate if it had been sealed in by stone? And do you agree with me that the Black Gate is one of the most secret locations in all of Westeros? Or are there some people that I've missed, or some clues that I've missed, that would say that more people know about the Black Gate? Let me know all of that or anything else that's come to your mind while watching this video. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you made it this far, and I'll be back with something else very soon.